Welcome to Read This Next with Laura and Nicole. This week we are talking about slow burn romances, which, as we all know, is like one of my favorite types of books. So I'm really excited about it. And we're close to Valentine's Day, so it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, it's romance season. So here we are with our second romance focused episode.
Don't worry, next week it'll be a sharp turnaround with the genres.
Yes.
So we've got one in store that's like total opposite end of the coin.
So if romances are not your thing, then that's fine. We'll see you next week for an entirely different conversation.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump into it then. So the first thing I wanted to mention is we have actually talked about slow burns before. So I'm just going to briefly mention them and you can check them out in previous episodes. But we have covered The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, Baron Nightingale by Kate Arden, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, and Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim, which are all really, really good. Our first highlight is Crier's War, which I really like the cover of. It's I feel like if I saw it in real life, it'd be shiny.
Yes, I think you're correct.
Yeah, and that's by Nina Varela. Okay, here's the description. Impossible love between two girls, one human, one made with a capital M. A love that could birth a revolution. After the War of Kinds ravaged the kingdom of Rabu, the Ottoman, designed to be the playthings of royals, took over the estates of their owners and bent the human race to their will. Okay, so
this is
over.
Totally my jam.
Yeah, it sounds like it is.
Yeah.
Not what I expected from the cover, though, at all. Now Ayla, a human servant rising the ranks of the House of the Sovereign, dreams of avenging the death of her family by killing the Sovereign's daughter, Lady Crier. Crier, who was made with a capital M, to be beautiful, to be flawless, and to take over the world, to take over the work of her father. Crier has been preparing to do just that, to inherit her father's rule over the land. But that was before she was betrothed to Skyer Kinnock, who seems to have 1,000 secrets. That was before she discovered her father isn't as benevolent as she thought. That was before she met Ayla. Set in a richly imagined fantasy world, Nina Varela's debut novel is a sweepingly romantic tale of love, loss, and revenge that challenges what it really means to be human.
Wow. Fantasy world and robots. I do like a robot story.
I know, you like sci-fi a lot.
I do. You know what's funny is my little guy, we've never had a robot that we play with or anything, but for some reason he knows robots and he's gonna be like, robot, beep boop, beep boop. That's exactly right. Not many. There's one robot book we've read. Maybe they play it at daycare.
Maybe. You got to get him the three little robots and the big bad, three little aliens and the big bad robot.
I should. That just means now whenever I think about robots in my head, I just hear beep boop, beep boop.
We've got so many good things from the kids in your life. We got it's spooky season, and now we've got beep boop every time we hear a robot.
Okay, our next one. This is a book that I actually read. And it's called The Hating Game. It's by Sally Thorne. And this author also wrote another book called 99% Mine and has a new book out soon. And both of those, I think, would also qualify as slow burns. I think that's kind of her thing. So nice. I was just going to shout out. She has some other ones too. So this one has it's very classic romance cover of these days, right? With the kind of illustrations. Here's the description. Nemesis. An opponent or rival whom a person cannot best or overcome. 2, a person's undoing. 3, Joshua Templeman. Lucy, how do you...
That was loud. What was that?
That was my dog.
Oh.
Sounding like she was going to hurl. She seems to be fine. Okay. Lucy Hutton has always been certain that the nice girl can get the corner office. She's charming and accommodating and prides herself on being loved by everyone at Bexley and Gammon. Everyone except for the coldly efficient, impeccably attired, physically intimidating Joshua Templeman, and the feeling is mutual. Trapped in a shared office together 40, okay, 50 or 60 hours a week, they become entrenched in an addictive, ridiculous, never-ending game of one-upmanship. There's the staring game, the mirror game, the HR game. Lucy can't let Joshua beat her at anything, especially when a huge new promotion goes up for the taking. If Lucy wins this game, she'll be Joshua's boss. If she loses, she'll resign. So why is she suddenly having steamy dreams about Joshua and dressing for work like she's got a hot date? After After a perfectly innocent elevator ride ends with an earth-shattering kiss, Lucy starts to wonder whether she's got Joshua Templeton all wrong. Maybe Lucy Hutton doesn't hate Joshua Templeton, and maybe he doesn't hate her either. Or maybe this is just another game.
Oh, wow. Classic.
It is classic. It is classic. I will say there's a couple of ways that I feel like it kind of shows that this is a book. It's from 2016, I think, that it's a couple of years old. There's some weird, like, he like jumps her in the elevator and he doesn't kind of like, they don't have a discussion first. So there's weird like consent issues there. Yeah. That I think in a book written today, we probably wouldn't have that. There's a couple weird things. And also like the guy a little bit, I'm just like, honey, get some therapy. Like, before you get into a relationship, that's what you need. Yeah, but it is, yes, but it is fun. It is fun. Yeah,
But
slow
check
burn
it
there.
out. And
Check
are
it
her
out.
other stuff, or are her other two book, or her previous one, I guess, because her other one isn't out yet. Is it kind of the same?
I think so.
Hmm.
I think there are other slow burn situations.
Cool. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Our next highlight is one that we've already talked about before, but we talked about it in a YA episode that was specifically YA. So I think some people might have missed it. So we're going to mention An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Again, this series just wrapped up. So if you're looking for something to binge that has a ton of books in it, this is for you. Here's the description. Leia is a slave. Elias is a soldier. Neither is free. Under the Martial Empire, defiance is met with death. Those who do not vow their blood and bodies to the Emperor risk the execution of their loved ones and the destruction of all they hold dear. It is start again. It is in this brutal world inspired by ancient Rome that Leia lives with her grandparents and older brother. The family ekes out an existence in the Empire's impoverished back streets. They do not challenge the Empire. They've seen what happens to those who do. But when Leia's brother is arrested for treason, Leia is forced to make a decision. In exchange for help from rebels who promise to rescue her brother, she will risk her life to spy for them from within the Empire's greatest military academy. There, Leia meets Elias, the school's finest soldier, and secretly, it's most unwilling. Elias wants only to be free of the tyranny he's being trained to enforce. He and Leia will soon realize that their destinies are intertwined and that their choices will change the fate of the Empire itself.
Wow.
Fantasy. I love it.
Yeah. And of course, they'll misjudge each other. Eventually they'll come together.
Yeah.
Delightful.
I don't know if that's a slow burn over the first book or if it expands throughout the series. But this is one series I haven't tried that everyone goes, you have to try it. And I go, yeah, I do at some point. Eventually we'll get there.
There's so much to read.
There is.
Okay, so this next one is another sort of contemporary, fun, light, realistic read. And this one, I think it's maybe just from last year. It's quite recent. It's called Beach Read. It's by Emily Henry. And it's about writers. A romance writer who no longer believes in love and a literary writer stuck in a rut engaged in a summer-long challenge that may just upend everything they believe about happily ever afters.
Okay.
Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. Seems extreme. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke, and bogged down with writer's block. Until one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of any rom-com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult.
Oh, God.
Obviously, everyone will finish a book and no one will fall in love. Really, is the description there.
I love the idea that her happy novel will not be the next great American novel.
And that one where he kills off the entire cast inevitably would be like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Obviously.
obviously.
Next American novel. Like, happy? Never.
Yes,
No one likes happy
exactly.
books.
No, it is. It sounds like there's there's probably maybe some fun stuff about how romance writers and romance books end up being kind of looked down on by other people who read other kinds of books, right? Like, oh, that's just it's not as worthwhile as reading literary fiction. Well, not all literary fiction is all that grand either. Anyway, sounds kind of
Depends on
fun.
what you like. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Our next one is called Sky in the Deep, which again, cool cover. I'm going to shift it up a little bit so I can actually see it. Yep, cool cover.
Okay.
It's by Adrian Young. Yeah, it looks kind of, I want to say the axe has like a Celtic symbol on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
let's read.
can see that.
Yeah, let's read and see if we get anything more from the description. Oh wait, no. Okay, we'll get there. Raised to be a warrior, 17-year-old Elin fights.
Whatever you want to say.
We'll say Elin fights alongside her Aska clansmen in an ancient rivalry against the Riki clan. Her life is brutal but simple: fight and survive. Until the day she sees the impossible on the battlefield. Her brother fighting with the enemy, the brother she watched die 5 years ago. Oh, you can tell I didn't read this ahead of time. So I'm like, ooh.
So is this like a, enchanted dead brother, or is this a fake death?
I think, okay, well, faced with her brother's betrayal, so it sounds like
Okay.
he might have faked his own death.
Sure.
She must survive the winter in the mountains with the Riki, in a village where every neighbor is an enemy, every battle scar possibly one that she delivered. But when the Riki village is raided by a ruthless clan thought to be a legend, Elin is even more desperate to get back to her beloved family. She's given no choice but to trust Fisk, her brother's friend, who sees her as a threat. They must do the impossible, unite the clans to fight together or risk being slaughtered one by one. Driven by a love for her clan and her growing love for Fisk, Elin must confront her definition of loyalty and family while daring to put her faith in the people she spent her life hating. So it says part Wonder Woman, part Vikings, and all heart.
Oh,
So it's
well,
Vikings.
that's intriguing.
Mm.
Vikings.
Those Vikings are kind of in lately.
I think so. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. It looks good.
Yes, and not only is it, the slow burn that it's like an enemy, it's her brother's friend. That's also, I feel like, a classic
It's a dangerous
classic
game.
thing. Yes. Okay, so our last one, oh no, I'm lying, not quite last. My last one is called The Night Tiger. It's by Yangzi Chu, a sweeping historical novel about a dance hall girl and an orphan boy whose fates entangle over an old Chinese superstition about men who turn into tigers. Okay.
Cool, eh?
Very cool. All right. When 11-year-old Ren's master dies, he makes one last request of his Chinese houseboy that Ren find his severed finger lost years ago in an accident and reunite it with his body. Okay. No,
Weird.
lost years ago. How, that seems like a really tough quest.
Not disintegrated or anything.
Exactly. How do you know? Okay. Wow. So Ren has 49 days, or else his master's soul will roam the earth, unable to rest in peace. I mean, if it's so important, he probably should have started looking for his finger earlier, is all I'm going to say. Yep. But, okay. However, Ji Lin always wanted to be a doctor, but as a girl in 1930s Malaysia, apprentice dressmaker is a more suitable occupation. Secretly, though, Jilin also moonlights as a dance hall girl to help pay off her beloved mother's mahjong debts. One night, Jilin's dance partner leaves her with a gruesome souvenir, a severed finger. Convinced the finger is bad luck, yes, Jilin enlists the help of her erstwhile stepbrother to return it to its rightful owner. As the 49 days tick down and a prowling tiger wreaks havoc on the town, Jilin and Ren's lives intertwine in ways they could never have imagined. Propulsive and lushly written, The Night Tiger explores colonialism and independence, ancient superstition and modern ambition, sibling rivalry and first love. Braided through with Chinese folklore and a tantalizing mystery, this novel is a page-turner of the highest order.
It sounds very intriguing.
There's a lot going on. It's a Reese Witherspoon's book club pick, I see from the cover.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know she picked books.
She does. That's one of, you have to get into something. You can't just be an actor or actress anymore. You have to do something else too. So she has a book club. Why not?
Course.
Why, of course. This finger thing is weird.
It is.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's, well, who knows? But it does sound like an interesting quest, these two coming together.
It does. It kind of sounds, this is like, so it doesn't sound like this at all, but in my brain this makes sense. It reminds me of Holes, where he like has to
how does it remind you of Holes?
where he has to like one of them is like unknowingly, they're both unknowingly like fixing something like mystical and magical that they don't really understand. So, but it's also like very real world. So that's the connection. That's the connection.
Okay. Yeah. No, I see it now.
Yeah. You're like thinking, oh, honey. You're like, how is that connected?
I'm assuming that is a movie reference.
That's in the movie. Yeah.
That's in the movie. Okay. I don't know that I've watched the movie. I know the book.
Oh yeah.
Quite well.
Movie is really good.
Okay. Well, hot tip there.
Yeah, hot tip there. And as an aside, there's a TikTok sound that people are using all the time that goes, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. And he goes, it's too damn bad. And I don't think many people realize that's from the Holes movie. Like, why did that become popular on TikTok? The internet is amazing.
Why does anything? Who knows?
Who knows? All right, we got one more highlight.
We do.
The Raven Boys by Maggie C. Vader. Quote, there are only two reasons a non-seer would see a spirit on St. Mark's Eve, Nevy said. Either you're his true love or you killed him, end quote. It is freezing in the churchyard, even before the dead arrive. Every year, Blue Sargent stands next to her clairvoyant mother as the soon-to-be dead walk past. Blue herself never sees them, not until this year when a boy emerges from the dark and speaks directly to her. His name is Gainsey, and Blue soon discovers that he's a rich student at Aglanoby, the local private school. Blue has a policy of staying away from Aglanoby boys, known as Raven Boys. They can only mean trouble. But Blue is drawn to Gainsey in a way she can't entirely explain. He has it all: family, money, good looks, devoted friends, but he's looking for much more than that. He is on a quest that encompasses three other Raven boys: Adam, the scholarship student who resents all the privilege around him; Ronan, the fierce soul who ranges from anger to despair; and Noah, the taciturn watcher of the four, who notices many things but says very little. For as long as she can remember, Blue has warned that she will cause For as long as she can remember, Blue has been warned that she will cause her true love to die. She never thought this would be a problem. But now, I don't know how you don't think that would be a problem, but anyways. But now, as her life becomes caught up in the strange and sinister world of the Raven Boys, she's not so sure anymore.
It's interesting. It sounds like those young men have a lot of feelings.
They do.
Like the descriptions of the fourth, I'm like, oh, each more serious than the last.
It was really, like, I read this series a long time ago, and I don't even think I read the final one because by the time it came out, I was like done with that series. But it was really good, and it's got a lot to do with like they're searching for ley lines, so like magic lines that are in the
Sure.
ground. And one of the characters, whenever he dreams something, he can like bring it into the real world, which is really cool. And on Tumblr, for those of you who are on Tumblr, super like pairings galore within those boys. So there's
Sure.
tons of fanfic about it too, I'm sure. Yeah. It's good though. Check it out. She also writes the Scorpion races and the werewolf series Shiver.
Right. That
Also
was a
very good.
very hot number a couple years back.
It
Okay, more
was.
than a couple years.
Yeah.
A while back when werewolves were a thing.
Oh yeah.
Time flies.
It does.
Yeah. Okay. So those are our highlights. And now we're getting into our recs. So I was having a real time thinking about what I wanted to rec because I've read a couple different romances lately. By a couple, I mean like kind of quite a few at this point. And I thought, well, I could do even like that one that we recommended here, the hating game, but was like, I'm tired of doing. I don't want to wreck something with like sort of like a toxic man child. So instead, I'm wrecking something that is very old. Is not a new title, originally published in 1926, actually.
Oldie
I
but
just
gold.
check the date here. Okay, so if everyone knows about Anne of Green Gables, and that was written by Ellen Montgomery, and that she wrote a bunch of other Anne of Green Gables books, and people might know, the couple of the other series she wrote. Well, she also wrote I think like 2 books that she was trying to specifically write for adults. And one of them is this book, The
You have
Blue
a copy.
Castle. I do. I own all of her books.
Mm.
There's lots of them. Yeah, so this specific book is one that she wrote and tried to write like for adults. And the other thing that's unusual about this book is that it's the only one that is entirely set off of PEI. So
Oh,
it's actually set in Muskoka Country. Yes.
Muskoka country, I think.
Country, I think
Yeah.
so is the expression.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's 2 ways that this is very unusual. So this story, it's about a character who has a great name that I've always loved, Valencia.
Oh, that is nice.
Fun, right? And she's 29, so of course she is an old spinster. This is the
Classic.
1920s, right? So she is an old spinster, and she lives with her mother and like an aunt, and they're terrible people. It's one of those where she's kind of smarter and wittier than anyone gives her credit for. So they spend a lot of time with their family, and they all kind of like poke at her about being, oh, she's not pretty and she's old and she's not very smart and all this stuff. And then she gets it. This isn't a big spoiler because it happens right near the beginning. She has like a health issue, and she goes to her doctor, and she finds out she has a heart condition and she could die at any time.
Oh, okay.
Right. So she's basically like, okay, then I'm done. Worrying about if I hurt my mother's feelings or whatever. I don't care anymore. And she goes to family dinner, and it is delightful. It's so funny. And it's like all the stuff that you wish you could say, and when she, it's so satisfying. Her just like talking back to everybody. It's really fun. Anyway, and then where the man comes in, she goes off and nurses a woman in a community who needs help. And she's being shunned by the greater community because she was an unwed mother. Because again, this is 1920s, right? So she goes to help her, and it's like, I don't care about you guys anymore, so I'm going to go help her. And while she's doing that, she meets this man who also has a terrible reputation around town. He's like a handyman, and everyone's like, oh, he's a drunk and he's from not around here. We don't know who he is, so he's bad man. And she falls in love with him. Okay. So it may sound like this is not a slow burn, but it is, because she's in love with him, but he is not in love with her.
No.
Right. And she's also more in love with kind of an idea of him that she doesn't really know him. But she says to him, well, I could die at any time. So what do you think? Could you marry me anyway? And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like he likes her. he thinks that she's kind and nice and everything, and then they go off and have some time together, and I won't spoil how it ends, but it's just really
Delightful.
it's just really delightful. I think people don't think of Ellen Montgomery as being funny, but she really is quite funny. There's a lot of like comedy of characterization, right? Like there's types of people, and yeah, it's 100 years ago, but people are still that type of person, right? Who are going to judge you and are going to, expect the worst from you.
Mhm.
And how satisfying it can be when you can come back at that and they kind of grow to appreciate each other in different ways. It's just a really nice, delightful story. Yeah, the Blue Castle. And it
Check it
refers
out.
to, yeah, Valencia has this fantasy of a blue castle in Spain that she would like never actually get to visit. But then in the end, her home with, I'm sorry, his name was Barney, which is not great. Um,
Different time.
becomes her new blue castle, right? Just being with him in his like
Aw,
crummy little nature cabin, and they just do stuff outside and have a nice time.
that's
So
very
that's
sweet.
my slow burn, because
I like it.
yeah, by the end they're all in. It's great.
Okay, my rec is like not that sweet.
Oh
Mine
yeah,
is
okay, yours is not that sweet.
no, mine is called Bitten by Kelly Armstrong. Again, another I was like, how can I work Kelly Armstrong back into the conversation? Slow burns. So basically, wait, I'll pull up the description because I've forgotten the names, but I remember the plot. Okay. Elena Michaels. There is a TV show too. It was decent, but the books are phenomenal. Okay. Elena Michaels is the world's only female werewolf, and she's tired of it. Tired of a life spent hiding and protecting, a life where her most important job is hunting down rogue werewolves. Tired of a world that not only accepts the worst in her, her temper, her violence, but requires it. Worst of all, she realizes she's growing content with that life and being that person. So she left the pack and returned to Toronto, where she's trying to live as a human. When the pack leader calls her back, asking for her help fighting a sudden uprising, she only agrees because she owes him. Once this is over, she'll be squared with the pack and free to live life as a human, which is what she wants, really. Which is gives you nothing about the slow burn romance. There's this other werewolf. His name's Clay. He has a southern accent. She and Clay, the main reason that she was in love with him and he unwillingly turned her into a werewolf, not knowing if she would
Oops.
live because they've never had a female werewolf before. So I don't know why he did it.
That's a big oops.
It's dumb. But anyways, so she made it through it and now she's a werewolf. So it's really good. It's the Women of the Otherworld series. So there's 13 in the series. It's like I know it's a lot. It's really good, but it's like every 3 or 4 books it switches to a new woman in this like world. So it's the first 3 are Elena and then it goes to a witch, I believe. I can't remember her name. Then it goes to a demon. It goes on and on. And it's really, really good. Check out the series. Very much slow burn within all of them because they're all different characters all the time. But yes, if you are not looking to read sexy
Some
stuff, stay away from
details.
it. Yeah,
Yes.
but
If you're
very
in the
good.
mood, the most like erotic moment in the Blue Castle is when she's bragging to her cousin about how great her life is, and it's like, there's nothing better than falling asleep with him next to me, and her cousin's
Wow.
like, how dare
Scandal.
you acknowledge you sleep with your husband.
Yeah, so if you want something that's like a 1 or a 0,
Yeah.
check out Laura's, and if you want something that's a little more spicy, check out mine. But they're
Yeah,
really good.
you've
Yeah.
got something for everyone
Oh, yeah,
in
and it's
terms
kinda
of
cool because
mhm.
her adult series connects with the YA series a little bit, so good stuff.
So if you're
Good
into
stuff.
interconnected worlds,
Yeah,
yeah. If
very
you want to
good.
really dig into something, Kelly Armstrong's your lady.
Oh man, she's got so much, and her other series also have like slow burn romance. It's just like so good. Canesville, that series, slow burn romance. Rockton, slow burn romance. Like, dang.
No wonder you're so
Yeah.
locked into her.
She's good, man. I love her. Her other stuff isn't usually as like spicy as the Otherworld series, but yeah. So, do we have anything else to add, or are we wrapping up our
I
episode?
think we're wrapping up our episode. I think we're wrapping up our romance for the year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for the year.
Wow,
We're
for
never
the
talking about it again.
That's right. We don't often end up talking about romance books.
No, we don't. All right, then I will do our final wrap up. Like, follow, subscribe on YouTube at TBPL, on any social media. Please review our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. It helps people find our show. We post our audio Tuesdays and the video version the following Monday. And of course, you can find our show notes at tbplofftheshelf.com. And yeah, we'll have another episode next week that's a little bit different from our romance.
Yes. So we'll see you then.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.